right, we are live. Welcome. This is Orion Rising. I am your host, Leonard O'Neill. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morrow, depending on where in the world you are tuning into the show. Okay, show this out, show this out, show this out. All right, it is Saturday morning in Australia, Friday night on the North American continent. It is 3 p.m. Friday night on the North American continent. It is 9 a.m. in New South Wales, Australia, where I am broadcasting from. Okay, so it is. Let me take down this overlay, right? I need to have that taken down, don't I? Otherwise, you guys can't see me, right? Okay, hold on. Here we go. And there we go. Let me put myself up into full screen right quick. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morrow. Show this out, show this out, show this out. Say hello in the chat. Otherwise, I don't know you here. Reese, welcome, my brother. Namaste, namaste. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat. He's having a wing ding in the background. He's outside the door and he's crying because he can't come in here and climb all over me and get in the way and knock things over. So he's going to have to go learn to go and lay down. Normally, he wants to get outside and the door's open except for the screen door, and he's not trying to get outside. He's just trying to get in here to bug me. So I don't know if you guys can hear that. Okay. So welcome. We are live on Instagram. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. Yesterday, I went live on TikTok. And after 1 hour and 29 minutes and a few seconds, I got booted off of TikTok for misinformation. Misinformation. Yeah, I was talking about the same things I talk about here, and somebody in the crowd apparently must not have liked that and reported me as disinformation or misinformation. So I got put in TikTok prison for until the 16th of the month. Today's the 10th. So 6 days. I got put in prison 9 p.m. My time, 9 p.m. or 9:30 my time on the 16th of October. Then I can go back live on TikTok. First time I went live on TikTok. I was live the night before on a show, and I can't remember the name of the show. It was with Commander Chameleon, I think his name is. Don't get angry at me if I mispronounce his name. I forgot that. But I was live on his show for 3 hours talking about spirituality. Got off the show. My wife and I got some dinner and then went back over to TikTok, and there was a guy that was also live talking about spirituality, and apparently it was his, I don't know if it was his first live, but he just had his awakening. I ended up jumping on his TikTok and went live with him, talked to him for a few minutes, and then stayed in the audience for another couple hours until Brooke and I got tired and decided it was time to go to bed. So we were all over TikTok 2 days ago, and then yesterday I decided to go live, and then I wanted to see what I needed to do to go live, and I had enough followers apparently. So I went live to test it and was talking, and was going to see if I could go live today on there. And an hour and 29 minutes in, somebody reported me as disinformation, and I got booted off with a warning. First time I went live, I tried to appeal it, and they were like, "Yeah, nope, you were talking misinformation." Because I was talking about the deep state and talking about the editing of the Bibles, which is absolute true in history. Nothing there was a conspiracy theory at all. Was talking about spirituality, although I did mention the fact that there are people on this planet that are not indigenous to this planet, not saying physical boots on the ground came here in a UFO, saying that people have an immortal soul. So, I guess the communist Chinese government, who has to be secularist because you can't have anybody having a religion in a communist country. You have to be secularist. Apparently, talking about spirituality is banned, and they didn't like it. So they put me in TikTok prison for 6 days. And then people wonder why in different countries that they are, in fact, banning them. And the United States was going to ban them, but I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump took a good payout to make sure that he didn't get banned by the people who are going to profit from them moving over to an American company. Not to mention, the American government is now going to have access to those 200 million Americans that are on TikTok's information that the Chinese government had access to before. So I'm sure that was a good payout, right? So we'll see if I can get back on TikTok and go live. And maybe if I don't mention a few words and just stay talking about spirituality and don't say anything about anything else, maybe I can stay on there and help promote it, because I was on there for 3 hours talking the exact same way on a podcast the night before, and then another hour after that on a different podcast talking the exact same way. And then I went live and somebody reported me. Gotta love that. Okay. So if you guys are here, say something in the chat. Otherwise, I don't know you're here. I just see numbers. So if you're over on Instagram, I'll have to keep checking that text window because it doesn't filter into here. So I was going to see if I could go live on TikTok, and because I used to be able to go live on TikTok and stream this there, but something changed in TikTok, so I got to figure that out. So after this show today, at some point, I'm going to go live on TikTok over there on my account and see if I can do that over there. My beard's messed up today. I didn't trim it properly. It's trimmed weird. I got a spot there and a spot there that looks like it needs to be trimmed. Anyway, so let's get back on point, right? So the Emerald Tablets of Thoth is what we're talking about. We are on part 8, but I forgot to put the T in there in the title. I hate when I do that. I'm going to edit that title right now before I mess things up here. I don't think I can edit the title once I'm in here. Let me see if I can do that on here. I may have to do it individually. Yeah, I may have to do it individually. I'm going to edit these titles right quick on here before I end up finishing live, because once I finish the live, I can't edit the title. I forgot to put the T in there on that word. Last week I did that, and I forgot to put the T in Thoth. And then I ended up, can't edit it now. So it says Tho. I was live on talking about Tho, the Emerald Tablets of, no, it was the Emerald Tablets of Hoth. That's what it was, the Emerald Tablets of Hoth, because I didn't see that I didn't fix the T. And once you do that, I'm having a hard time trying to change that. But now that I know I can go in here and maybe change it on the title, I can see if I can do that in retrospect. Okay, so let's take a look at, let's get into the Emerald Tablets, part 8, but we're on chapter 9 of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So let's go ahead and we'll do the Lori. You're saying that Thoth is pronounced, and in your writing, Thoth, Thoth. So there's no enunciation in your screaming writing that you're doing, and the actual pronunciation of Thoth is subjective depending on the language that you're speaking. Some people say Thoth, some people say Tot, some people say Thot. So it just depends on where you are. According to Thoth, it's not even Thoth's name, it's a title. So you might want to pay attention to when you're trying to say the pronunciation and you're typing the words Thoth, thinking that I can tell what sounds you're trying to make with that, and then typing it in capital letters. You might want to do that. So you're going to have to put, italics like they do in the dictionary with the sounds there, for phonetic, so I can tell what you're trying to tell me. So it is subjective. It depends on where you are and who you talk to and what language you're speaking when you say the word Thoth, Toth, thought, Thoth. Some people just say Tot. Some people say Tot. Some people say Toth. Some people say Thoth. Some people say Thoth. It depends on your language. It's semantics. It's like saying Seamus or James. Seamus is Irish, and it's the same word as James. It's like Yahshua when people say Jesus isn't Jesus's name. Jesus's name in Sanskrit is Yahshua. Yahshua literally means Jesus. Okay? It's like Joshua, right? And people think that it's Joshua. So it depends on what language that you're speaking and what dialect you're speaking. I speak 28 languages. So I'm kind of familiar with dialects and accents, right? So I apologize if I offended you because I didn't say Thoth the way you prefer to hear the word, okay? Because Thoth the Atlantean, when Thoth the Atlantean wrote the Emerald Tablets, never said, this is how you say my name, because it was in fact a priestly title. It was a religious title. It's like the word Merlin. Everyone thinks that Merlin the magician was one single man in history in the 1500s, when it was actually in the year 400. But it's a title. It's not a name of a person named Merlin. I know that because I have the Merlin title. It's a Druid priest title. Okay, so I apologize if I offended you with not understanding that your capital letter Thoth was some way not the exact enunciation that I was using that you prefer in the vernacular. So if you hear that from a religion somewhere, that was a choice that somebody took because the actual person in history, when that person left the emerald tablets here on earth, never said, "This is how you say my name." So if you go on, in fact, on this particular video that I'm going to use, which is not mine, the person that's in here says the word Thoth different than the other person from another video that I was listening to, who were both very accredited historians from Egypt. One says Thoth, one says Thoth. Okay, so you can argue that with the religious scholars. I'm not worried about semantics. Semantics are the reason that people are fighting over religion on this planet instead of fighting over the message that all of the religions are teaching. This is what I'm here to teach you. That is why my book, The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways, is there, because that book explains to you exactly the problem that you and I are having here. You have been taught that the word is pronounced a certain way, which I don't know what that way was because I couldn't tell by the lettering that you used. And that bothered you to the point where you had to put it in capital letters to yell at me because you're worried about semantics instead of the message that Thoth actually left for the people to understand. That's the problem with the Matrix, and what they've done to you is they've programmed you so that you fight over whose religion is the right one. My religion's better than your religion because my religion was older than your religion, but my religion goes back 10,000 years, so my religion is older than your religion. Yes, but you use a book that was borrowed from another people, and then the person says, but your book was borrowed from this one, and that one was borrowed from that one, and this one was borrowed from that one, and that's not the oldest scroll, and we need to find the oldest scroll. And you're exactly ignoring, 100% you're ignoring the message that is in every single religion because it's all the same message. While you're fighting over whether or not you can cut your hair, have a tattoo, draw a picture of God, say God's name the proper way. Everyone's arguing over Jesus's name, and they're like, his name was Yahshua. Yahshua means Jesus. Yahshua is a different language saying the same word. My name is Leonard. That means lion heart. Okay, that's a German spelling and pronunciation of the word Leonard. If I were Italian, it would be Leonardo. If I were Greek, it would be Leonidas. Okay, it doesn't matter. Those are just the way those people say those. In fact, if I'm Latin in Peru, it's just Leo, and that means trouble. Okay, so people call me trouble because the word Leo is the word lion, and that means trouble in a slang term in Peru. So people call me trouble over there, or T in Peru. Okay, because that's what that word means. So it means that to them. The word lion that we have in English is Lion, lion, right? Lion. That's actually a French word that is a pronunciation, is the spelling of the pronunciation of the Greek word Leo. And the French say it as Lion, not lion. But the English took that spelling and changed where the phonetic sound out is and the semantic of the phonetic sound out and said lion, Lion, Leo. Do you see? So that's a semantical thing that is a preference depending on the language that you speak and when you're speaking it. Okay, and it's a religious title, not a name of a person. Okay, so because I am a theologian and I have 4 minister titles in 4 different religions, this is why I'm interpreting these things. I don't mean you any offense, but when you type, you're probably not even here anymore. You probably left, probably blocked me too and reported me, just like the people did on TikTok. I don't know who I offended there. I wasn't saying anything to anybody, just telling them the truth. And I got booted off of there. So hopefully you're still here, Lori. Probably not. You probably ran away already. Came in boring, she said, because I was talking about being on TikTok the other day. Okay, so now that the troll is gone, more than likely, I will continue with the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I do apologize to anybody. There's my brother who just popped in. Hopefully you're still over there on Instagram, Jay. My brother just popped in on Instagram while Lori was complaining that I was not pronouncing Thoth the proper way, but didn't give me any indication on how I was supposed to be saying the word because she just typed it in capital letters with a TH and an O and a TH. And I was supposed to know what enunciation she was using by that vernacular. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and put this, get myself out of full screen, put YouTube up in full screen. You guys give me a shout out in the chat over there and say hello. Otherwise, I can't see you. I just see numbers. And if you are on Instagram, I'll have to keep checking the chat over there to see anything. So I saw that my brother popped in over there. Welcome, brother, if you're still over there, checking in and seeing what's going on. And we'll go ahead and do a sound check here. We are on chapter 9. Let me pull this up into full screen. Oh, it is in full screen here, isn't it? Let me see how it looks on the screen over here. Yes. So let me go ahead and do a sound check. We'll go ahead and start this. This is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, chapter 9, tablet 9.
Emerald Tablet 9, the key to freedom of space. List ye, O man, hear ye my voice, teaching of wisdom and light in this cycle, teaching ye how to banish the darkness, teaching ye how to bring light in thy life. Seek ye, O man, to find the great pathway that leads.
Carol, welcome. Somebody in the chat, let me know if you guys can hear that okay. I'm assuming that you can because I have it up pretty high. I have it on like 84 or something. So hopefully you guys can hear that all right. I'm not even sure what microphone I'm on because I've run a little late getting on. So I think you guys can hear it okay. All right, let me continue here. Tablet 9.
To eternal life as a sun. Draw ye away from the veil of darkness. Seek to become a light in the world. Make of thyself a vessel for light, a focus for the sun of this space. Lift thou thine eyes to the cosmos. Lift thou thine eyes to the light. Speak in the words of the dweller, the chant that calls down the light. Sing thou the song of freedom. Sing thou the song of the soul. Create the high vibration that will make thee one with the whole. Blend all thyself with the cosmos. Grow into one with the light. Be thou a channel of order, a pathway of law to the world. Thy light, O man, is the great light, shining through the shadow of flesh. Free must thou rise from the darkness before thou art one with the light. Shadows of darkness surround thee. Life fills thee with its flow. But know, O man, thou must arise, and forth thy body go, far to the plains that surround thee, and yet are one with thee too. Look all around thee, O man, see thine own light reflected, aye, even in the darkness around thee. Thine own light pours forth through the veil.
You see, so again here we're on chapter 9, and again, what we're seeing here is, thank you, Reese. Thank you, brother. What we're seeing here is again, talking about in this, literally, it can't get any clearer, right? That you're veiled in darkness, right? And you need to discover your own light, right? A pathway of law to the world. Thy light, old man, is the great light. All right, so let's back that up. I'm going to back this up and let this start one more time because I want you guys to actually hear this, right? So take a look at, so after everything that we've seen so far, right? It's about balancing the chakras and telling you that we're all veiled and that we're all in darkness. That doesn't mean that we're in hell. That doesn't mean that we're in the underworld. The underworld is back then actually meant within, by the way. It didn't mean under the earth, but it was represented by going into darkness in a cave or under the earth, in that physical way. That's why the pyramids, I talked about this when I was on the Commander show on TikTok 2 nights ago, that the pyramids and then I was also talking about it on Kale's show, which I don't know what his last name is, but Kale was on his show as well. Let me pull up in full screen here. So the pyramid, the big pyramid of Giza, being a pyramid, being a triangle shape, is this portion of the brain. So I got to be smaller. It's inside your head, right? It's literally this portion of the brain itself from the brain stem upwards. In the interim, in the middle portion, because the Ark of the Covenant is also there with the wings. You see that where they show the wings and Egyptian and things like that. That is the right and left sides of the brain flaring out. When you get to the hippocampus, which is inside the brain in the middle right here, where your optic thalamus is. The hippocampus is actually shaped. It comes up from the brainstem and literally the piece of flesh in the brain that looks like I don't know how to describe it. It looks like something wrinkled. It looks like your fingers wrinkled from too much water. In the center, it comes out like this, and it goes to the size of your head, and then actually curves down like this, so it looks like ram's horns. That's why you see in history, Greek, Roman, and Egyptian, where they have a god. I think Hermes was actually depicted that way as well, having horns on their head. That's actually wisdom. That actually represents wisdom and enlightenment. So it's not that the person was a hybrid between a goat or a ram and a human. It was depicting like Thoth, Thoth, whatever vernacular you use to describe that from whatever language that you learned that word from in history. Like him being depicted with a hootie bird head, right? That wasn't because they had chopped his head off and put an animal head on him. People do that, and they were like, they were experimenting with the human genome because aliens were here. And when you see somebody with a bird head, that was them doing. It was not that at all. They weren't doing surgery and taking a head off and putting a bird head on a human body to create slaves. The hootie head was put on Thoth's head because Thoth was very wise and depicted as wisdom. The hootie bird was the depiction of wisdom, just like a snake was to some religions, like when you get with Viracocha and Quetzalcoatl over in the Central and South America or in the Americas from thousands of years ago, 2,000-3,000 years ago, and going back further. So you have the same thing. This is why you have like the jackal head on some Egyptian people. It's not because they put a dog's head on top of a human body. It was representing what that person's what's the word I'm looking for? Their version of what it is. The hootie was wisdom. The jackal, what is the jackal? The jackal is guardians. So the jackal they were always stationed as the guardians of the gates. So a person who would be with a jackal head would be wise in the ways of certain portions of the religion. They would be like a sect of the religion or a classification. Like I was knighted by the Knights of Columbus. So the Columbiana Knights or the Columbus Knights are different than the Templar Knights. And the Templar Knights were named Templar Knights because they were guarding the temple, Solomon's temples and Solomon's mines. And then you had Hospitaller Knights. They were called Hospitallers because they were doctors. Okay, so they were monks. They were monks and priests as well. By the way, people don't realize that they weren't just people that were knighted. They were actually. I have pictures of me dressed up like Friar Tuck, actually a monk. Okay, so you have to realize that we are paladins. So we're not just. But it's a holy order. So the same thing in the Egyptian pantheon, you had wise people that were teaching different things, whether or not they were like Imhotep. Imhotep was a doctor. Okay. Everyone thinks Imhotep was the evil demon magic user that was a mummy from the mummy stories because they used Imhotep's name as that mummy. Imhotep was the grandfather of all medicine, including today. They found Imhotep's Bible, and now they're saying that we would not be taking the Hippocratic Oath if we had not found Hippocrates' Bible of medicine. If we would have found the Bible of medicine from Imhotep, which we do now have, we would have been taking the Imhotepan Oath, not the Hippocrates Oath. Okay. So they're using that now in medicine because 5,000-year-old dictionary of medicine is more advanced than the medicine that we were using in the modern era. Still is. Okay. So he was depicted with a serpent head and things like that because he was, in fact, a doctor. Okay. So he was a healer. So you have to realize that they didn't do surgery on people's heads, and some things are titles. If you don't know the semantical things, if you don't know the abbreviations or you don't know the symbolism, then people make things up and they say aliens came down and cut the head off of a human and inserted the head of a bird, and it was a slave that they were. That's what literally what they say. They say that on Ancient Aliens, and that's just not true. Scholars know that that was because it was a depiction of wisdom. That one represented wisdom, okay, and illumination. They also depicted him with not just that, with other things besides the Hootie bird because of his wisdom, depending on the time period when they were building statues to that character, that personage. Okay, it was a religious title or the type of knowledge that you're teaching. Do you see? Some people are teaching love. Some people are teaching semantical things like it. Ra in the Law of One talked about those who were the sisters of sorrow and those who were teaching the Law of One. So the Law of One were teaching the laws and the ways. The sisters of sorrow were teaching the love and the light of the same message from the Creator. Okay, so they were called the sisters of sorrow, and the others were called the law the Law of One, or the well, what did they call themselves? The Law of Light, I think, or the Law of Fire, the Law of Light. Okay, so you have to realize that it's not as simple as people think it is. That's why people like me study this stuff. My brother, if he's still here on Instagram, is in a theological college today, currently, and has been for like 3 years, learning how to accurately study and interpret these things, religions and these things, and he'll probably spend the rest of his life doing the same thing. So let me get back over here. Because that's what happens once you start going down this path. You start doing that. So let's get over here and start this again so that you can see, literally, you see that Thoth is saying you are born in darkness, not because you're in hell, not because you're evil, but you're born veiled. The darkness thousands of years ago meant veiling, just like in the Viking pantheon, the Fenrir the wolf covering the sky, because the wolf is gray. And the sky, when there's clouds, is gray and it's blocking out the sun. That was the vernacular that they used to describe to you the veiling that is in your human soul, that is in your mind, being veiled from the light. And that Thor, which is word means thunder, by the way, and Mjolnir, his hammer of war. Mjolnir means lightning. And the prayer to Thor is to crack the sky with lightning and thunder. Of course, thunderclap always happens before lightning. You hear that, or you see the lightning crack, and then you hear the thunder. Okay, and then scare off Fenrir the wolf. What would that do? The crack and the thunder and the illumination spreads the clouds, because they rain down in the clouds. After they rain, they blow away, and the storm goes away, and then you can see the sunlight again. So the prayer to Odin, or to Thor, was, Thor used Mjolnir, use your hammer of war and crack the sky and scare off Fenrir the wolf. And that was pierce the veiling, illuminate us and pierce the veiling, bring us the knowledge that we need to help us to unveil. That was what that prayer was about. So they were aware back then. But if you're looking at it from a semantical point of view, or a linear point of view, or a secular point of view, you're going to see it only in the physical, and you're going to say Thor was using his war hammer to go to battle against some giant wolf in the sky, and because the entire thing was just a parable explaining to you that which you could understand, so that you would then understand that what was being explained to you. Okay. That's why people like me have to help interpret this stuff. And people have to go to school and theological college, but most of the time theologians are brainwashed into comparing religion instead of comparing message. So then they start saying things like, my brother said to me one time, do you know that the Bible that the Hebrews have isn't even really a Bible? It's an apocrypha. And I'm like, okay, so that means that it's not real. Their religion doesn't legitimately count. And he was like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so that means that your religion, because you're a Christian, also doesn't count, because your religion is only invented, created, and based on their religion. Jesus, as the Savior, was foretold in the Hebrew Apocrypha. All of the miracles that he did were foretold by people in that Apocrypha. The time of him coming and the words and all of that only exist in that Bible saying that Jesus is coming. But it's not actually accurate 100%. If you are a theologian, you realize that it does exist in all other religions as well, but it's told in a different way. And instead of the word Yahshua or Jesus, it was another word like Marduk or Thor or Moses or Elijah, okay? Or John, if you're a Baptist, okay? If you believe that John the Baptist was in fact the Savior, or Mary Magdalene, if you're a Magdalenian and you believe that Mary was supposed to carry on the church and be the leader of the what is now the Christian church, not Peter. Okay, and because there's a big movement that has that in the history, in the works, and people looking at the way the church was supposed to be set up. Okay, and so there's some good context for it. Okay, so let me get off of the semantical and go back to the comparative semantical, go back to the Emerald tablets. And literally here we see, again, starting out, here we are, tablet 9, and it's still focusing not on something crazy that everybody expects that he's going to be telling stories about. Thoth the Atlantean, Thoth, don't want to offend anyone by saying the word from a different language in a different way so that somebody will be linear minded and get mad at me because I say a word that they don't agree with the way the word is spoke. Potato, tomato, tomato. Still the same word, just spoken because of a different dialect of the same language. Let's continue with Thoth the Atlantean, chapter 9, explaining to you that you are born veiled in darkness and you have to become aware of that and wriggle yourself free.
Emerald Tablet 9, the key to freedom of space. List ye, O man, hear ye my voice, teaching of wisdom and light in this cycle, teaching ye how to banish the darkness, teaching ye how to bring light in thy life. Seek ye, O man, to find the great pathway that leads to eternal life as a sun. Draw ye away from the veil of darkness. Seek to become a light in the world. Make of thyself a vessel for light, a focus for the sun of this space. Lift thou thine eyes to the cosmos. Lift thou thine eyes to the light.
Okay, so telling you to look up, right? To look up, to be upright. Okay, so literally, the key to freedom of space. List ye, old man, hear ye my voice. Teaching of wisdom and light in this cycle. Teaching ye how to banish the darkness. Teaching ye how to bring light in thy life. Seek ye, O man, to find the great pathway that leads to eternal life as a sun. Okay, so that doesn't mean as a star, right? It means as an illuminated one, as the sun is fire, is light. Back then, you have to remember, I talked about this last week. They didn't have light like we see it today. Light to everyone on this earth until about 100 years ago meant fire. Okay, it was only then that we started making bulbs with fire inside of it, so you don't realize that it's hot and it's burning in there, and the gas is illuminated. So we have all these bulbs that are burning gas inside the bulb. And the gas in the bulb is heating up, and it's not actually catching fire and burning and changing and transforming. It's just speeding up its the molecular structure to the point where it starts glowing. That's why it sustains. But eventually, the little filament that is in there that is also glowing will get thinner and thinner and thinner and eventually break, and that's when the light burns out, and you have to go and get another light bulb. So the gas that's inside there, I think it's xenon. Don't quote me on that and send me eagle. And like the person earlier yelling at me because she didn't like the way I said the word Thoth, because she didn't realize that there is a difference in language and dialect for that word. And so she had to yell at me for that, as a matter of fact. Let's continue. Okay, so seek ye, old man, right? That leads to the life as a sun. Draw ye away from evil, the veil of darkness. Seek to become a light in the world. Make of thyself a vessel of light. Do you see it? A vessel for light. So make the choice. If you want to pierce the veiling and ascend back to heaven, you have to make the choice to become in service to others and seek light. Reach up to light. God's not returning in a Volkswagen bus to pick you up. There's nowhere where it says, wait here, I'll come back. It doesn't say that. Everyone quotes one little passage that says, and God said he'll return like a thief in the night. That has nothing to do with coming back down to earth to get you. It has to do with your unveiling will happen when you least expect it to happen. It'll happen like a thief in the night, sneaking in. You won't see it, you won't hear it, and then bam, you're awake. That's what that was actually talking about. Okay, let's continue here.
Speak in the words of the dweller, the chant that calls down the light. Sing thou the song of freedom, sing thou the song of the soul. Create the high vibration that will make thee one with the whole. Blend all thyself with the cosmos, grow into one with the light. Be thou a channel of order, a pathway of law to the world. Thy light, O man, is the great light, shining through the shadow of flesh. Free must thou rise from the darkness before thou art one with the light. Shadows of darkness surround thee. Life fills thee with its flow. But know, O man, thou must arise, and forth thy body go, far to the plains that surround thee, and yet are one with thee too. Look all around thee, O man, see thine own light reflected, aye, even in the darkness around thee. Thine own light pours forth through the veil. Seek thou for wisdom always, let not thine body betray. Keep in the path of the light wave. Shun thou the darkened way. Know thee that wisdom is lasting.
Right, so you hear the same thing in what they always say, the fake lies of Star Wars, and that ideology there, where they combined most of the religious ideologies into the Jedi way. The Jedi way is the Bushido way, but they made the monks like the Roman Catholic knights, paladins instead of just a warrior class like they would of the actual shogun, the actual Bushido, or like the Viking warriors or the Greek warriors, the hoplites. They made them very much Zen, Buddhist, but the same thing in that choose the path of light, not the path of darkness. Once you start down the dark path, forever it'll dominate your destiny. They're warning you, stay away from that. It's easier, more seductive. So here you have that same philosophical thought. That's the same message that is being told in every religion, including the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which I may actually do that book next. I'm not sure where I'm going to go. I may actually do the Egyptian Book of the Dead to show you, because in that, if you get it, that one's a little redundant in some ways. There's a lot of scrolls that are kind of redundant that way. If you read the Enuma Elish, it's very redundant. Most of the time people edit it and they just kind of give you the synopsis, because each chapter will tell you all of the same things over and over and over again. The Egyptian Book of the Dead kind of does the same thing. It's the way that they spoke back, 5,000 years ago in the storytelling. It wasn't until 3,000 or 4,000 years ago when they started telling stories a little bit more like Thoth here, or the way that they do in the Hebrew Bible. That would have really been more like 5,000 years ago anyways, because it was Moses. But the way they spoke in different regions of the world in their literature, it was different, where they would get very long-winded and say the same things over and over and over. So in the Enuma Elish, some people say, right? Don't yell at me because I pronounced it a different way from a different language. Instead of using Sanskrit, I use Yiddish or a Farsi or Arabic translation of the word. You would see that the words in like the Enuma Elish, when they sent somebody to go after Tiamat, they would describe to you, and then Tiamat made this creature and that creature and this creature, and there were 7 creatures, by the way, and each one of those creatures represented a chakra balance in the negative. By the way, I'll have to cover that someday. And they would literally say she created this creature and it had fangs and it had acid for in its teeth, and they would do that every single time. even though she was doing the same thing that she did in chapter 1, they would describe it to you over and over and over and over as she was doing it again. So each person that went up against her, she was creating these beasts all over again. So depending on what you're reading and when you're reading it, the wording and the way they say things are kind of redundant. The Egyptian Book of the Dead's kind of that way, because it's the spell that you need to know to get through the gates. So I'll probably end up covering that, to get through the gates to go to heaven. And you have to know the true name of the of the guardian of the gate, the god that guards the gate. And guess what, right? How many gates are there? Right? That's when we started looking at 10 gates, 7 gates, 12 gates. How many gates are there? And you start realizing it's the chakras again, and how to balance the chakras. And if you're a good person and you balance the chakras in a positive way, you get to go to heaven. If you're not and you're self-serving, you won't know, you won't be humble enough to know the name of the god that guards the gate, and you won't be able to give the riddle to the guard that guards the gate, the god that guards the gate, and you won't get into heaven. So it's the same thing that you hear when they say, like in the letter to the churches, if you're not good this way, you won't get to go to heaven if you act that way. It's the same exact knowledge, only you're on a boat and you're paying a tithing to the boatman, and 10% tithing to the boatman again. There's that 10% tithing. And then you have to know the secret of each chakra point, each gate, to be able to pass it on your way up to heaven. And if you balance all of those chakras and live the life the way that Thoth is explaining to you right here, and you're on your upward journey looking up to the light, you will then be able to ascend to heaven. So it's the same story being told again to a different people at a different time. Penny, welcome. Right? Unless you have unless you have a centennial light? They were made in 1901, right? Yeah. So yeah, they're still today. Yes, they were. If you have one of those, they don't burn out, right? They're still around for a very long time. One of those lights. Okay, so let me go back over here and continue. So we have, right, keep your eyes, right? Even in the darkness around thee, thy own light pours forth through the veil. Seek thou for wisdom always. Let not thine body betray. Keep in the path of the light wave. Shun thou the darkened way. Know thee that wisdom is lasting, existing since the all soul, since the time of us being, now this is me talking, the time of us being one with the Creator, existing since the all soul began, since the Creator began, creating harmony by the law that exists in the way. Okay, so the way, there you have the Tao Te Chi, the way, the law, there you have the laws of the universe, the law of one. There you have the all soul. So all of those four different religions, 5 if you count the Hebrew religion, came out of the same story. So a lot of people would say all these religions borrowed this. If this is real and it predates the religions, they borrowed their concept from Thoth the Atlantean. Or since Thoth the Atlantean was found in 1929, someone borrowed all of these concepts from all of these already existing religions to create and fake this tablet. Not in any way saying weird that this tablet is talking about the same message that all of them are talking about, and here's what they all have in common. And the only theme that all religions and philosophical and spiritual practices or knowledge around the earth, there's only one thing they all have in common: this message. All the other things are semantical. Look up that word if you don't understand what that means. All other things are semantical. The message that they are teaching is exactly the same, parabled for the people and the language and culture of the place where that scroll became a religion. Let's continue.
Existing since the all soul began, creating harmony from the law that exists in the way. List ye, O man, to the teachings of wisdom. List to the voice that speaks of the past time. I shall tell thee knowledge forgotten. Tell ye of wisdom hidden in past time, lost in the midst of darkness around me. Know ye, man, ye are the ultimate of all things. Only the knowledge of this is forgotten, lost when man was cast into bondage, bound and fettered by the chains of the darkness. Long, long ago, I cast off my body, wandered I free through the vastness of ether, circled the angles that hold man in bondage. Know ye, O man, ye are only a spirit. The body is nothing, the soul is all.
See, so here you have the same exact knowledge. So either in 1929, somebody was recreating something and lying, or it's the same knowledge. And this is what they always do. You hear this message and they go, well, this obviously was borrowed from something that I learned first. This is what happens with theologians or the armchair quarterbacks, the armchair theologians in the world. They'll say, well, my religion is the right one because that's the one I was taught first. So therefore, that's the correct religion. Everyone says that about whatever religion it is that they learned first as a child. That's the correct religion, and all other religions were spawned from my religion. And every single one of them claims to go back to the beginning of time, right? People say, like Christians, they're like, yeah, the Catholics, this. I'm like, did you realize that the Catholic Christianity can trace the Pope back to Peter, one of the apostles who took over the church when Jesus died? Look it up, right? So your religion, your Christian religion, literally is an offshoot of that religion. Trace your religion back and find out when its origins were. You're not going to see somebody in your Christian religion go, as a matter of fact, the guy who started our religion was one of the 12 apostles. Which one? John. And Baptists are the only ones that are following somebody else in that from that time period, because they believe that John was the true savior, not Jesus, because John sacrificed himself and died as well. So did Jesus. So they believe that John was the savior and Jesus was not the savior, right? Because he was the baptizer. So therefore, he was the one that was saving people, and Jesus wasn't. Right? It's semantics. They were cousins. They were working together. They were cousins. That's in all history, proven. Okay. So what was it that there was their message? Again, instead of fighting over the person or the religion, is the message that John was teaching any different than the message Jesus was teaching? Absolutely not. They were cousins. They were on point together in teaching the exact same message. They talked to each other. They messaged each other. They spoke to one another, met with one another, and conferred together to do what they were doing. Even discussed when it was they were both going to end up getting killed. Okay? Just so you know. All right. So instead of fighting over the religion, which is what the secularists of the world, the controllers want you to do, is fight over, well, mine's better than yours. Mine's older. Yours is exactly like everyone else's. The message that is being taught to you is the same. The only difference is the name of the deity and quite possibly what the deity looks like, unless, like the Hebrews, you can't know the name of God, and whatchamacallit, I can't think of the name of the religion. You can't draw a picture of the God, right? Can't do that. And then in Christianity, you can't use the Lord's name in vain, right? Because you should be killed if you do so. Do you see? So you're going to get murdered if you say God's name. You're going to get murdered if you say God's name in a way they don't agree with. You're going to get murdered if you draw a picture of God. You're going to get murdered if you use God's name at all. Do you see? How dare you? And then they want you to argue over Jesus wasn't even his name. That was a lie created by who is it? King James. And I'm like, no, that was an actual translation of a word into another language. Okay. It'd be like somebody calling me Leonidas. I wouldn't get mad at them. My name is not pronounced Leonidas. Yes, it is in Greek. Yes, it is. Okay. My name is not pronounced Lenin. Yes, it is in Russian. My name is not pronounced Leonardo. Yes, it is in Latin or Italian. Okay, or Portuguese or Spanish, which are an offshoot of Latin, just like Italian is. Okay, so it is spoken that way. My name is that name. Most people don't even know that. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, his name is Leonard of Caprio. That's what that translates into in English. Leonard of Caprio. In fact, it translates into Lionheart from Caprio. That's what DiCaprio means, like D'Souza or what's his name, the painter, right? It means of, from that place, instead of a last name. People think it's the last name. It's not. So if you don't know that about the language, then you're going to get annoyed. The person's name is Leonardo. That's the same word. Means Leonard, means Leonidas, means Lionheart, right? John, Juan, Jesus, Jesus, right? James, right? Then you have, like I said, Seamus in Irish. It's the same word, means James, right? So you have to realize that the different names, like Simon and Simone, right? You just have to realize that it's just a different name spoken to a person in another language. That's all. So it depends on the language that you're speaking will translate different things in a different way. The same thing is my point, is what's being done with the gods. And anyone who's a theologian knows that if somebody gets a hold of a scroll and they realize that scroll says the same thing as their scroll, they'll integrate those. The example of that is the Colburn Bible. The Colburn Bible got a hold of scrolls that came out of Egypt when priests came out of Egypt with Moses. They brought scrolls with them, and the first 6 or 7 books, or the last 6 or 7 books, I don't remember which now, of the Colburn Bible, the monks at the somewhere around the year 3, 4, 5, 600 found these scrolls and brought them back to Ireland and Scotland. And in the Book of Kells, there are some of those scrolls, and in the Book of Colburn, the Colburn Bible, they added those scrolls into the Bible because they were telling the story that was similar to the story parables that they had in their Bible. So they added it to the Bible. So people would say, "Oh, they stole those." They didn't steal them. They brought them because they knew that the wisdom was the right message, and so they brought it to show that their message was the same as the message that was there. Do you see? Because it was, in fact, the same message, just being told in a different way to a different culture. So what happens is these cultures, I'm giving you guys like a theological history. What happens is these cultures find that and they'll change the name. They used to change the name of the god. Okay, so let's screw up time and say that right now I find the story of let's say Thor, okay, and from the Viking scroll. But I'm back in time in Samaria. I'm going to take that and I'm going to go back to my city there in Samaria, and I'm going to change Thor's name to Anu. And if I'm Greek at the time in Arcadia, I'm going to change Thor to Anu. Same God, same story. I recognize that, and I'm going to show people that it's the same God that we have that's doing the same hero story, the same savior story. But because this is my religion and the people here see this God and worship to this God, I'm going to show them that they're the same God. Okay. And people look at me and say that doesn't happen. And I'm like, Christmas with Jesus is proof. When the monks from the Roman Catholic Church made their way to Norway, Finland, Sweden, and the area with Vikings, they were trying to show that the deities Thor was Jesus. So they were trying to show you that the story that you have of Thor is a descension to earth, a sacrifice, and an ascension back to heaven to become illuminated in spirit and illuminate the world. It's the same story. So they were converting people to Catholicism, Christianity today. They were trying to recruit people and say, look, your God is my God. We have the same God. And they're doing the same thing. It's the same person. So they were trying to get people to join their religion instead because they want bodies, money, power, fame, control. Okay? But it's the same message. So instead of saying, you guys don't need me to teach you anything because your message is the same message and you guys know it, so we should just compare and realize that. They were trying to convert people to their religion so that they could have control over them. But if they were showing, they would start out by theologically saying, your God is the same. our gods are the same because the message is the same. But if they were to take that and want to integrate it back in their society with the Christianity, they're not going to change their god to Thor because that's our god's the right one. The name, semantics, the name of this character is Jesus. Okay, people go to war over that, right? Mohammed, in that religion, they say there is only one God and Mohammed is his prophet. So they're saying there can only be one prophet. Only one person can speak for God, and it's Mohammed. The Christians say there is only one God and Jesus is his prophet. Wait, now we have a problem. But instead of saying what's Muhammad teaching and what's Jesus teaching, are they teaching the same thing? Nope, doesn't matter. We're going to kill you over the name, Jesus or Muhammad. We're both preaching the same God and we're both preaching the same message. But because this one's called Muhammad instead of Jesus, I have to kill you. And then the Hebrews say, both of you are wrong because there is only one God and Elijah is his prophet. There's other ones too. Right. But the God's not talked to anybody since then because they were the ones, Daniel and Elijah, and they were the ones, and even David got spoken to. Nobody since then. God's not calling anybody anymore. It was just those people, and you guys are lying, and we have to kill you over it. Is there any message that's different from all of that? Because even then it goes back to Moses. Moses did the same thing. Moses was cast out. Moses had to fall and die, and then he was resurrected in the desert, found himself, found God, and then went on his journey to then go and illuminate the population and become the light of the world. Same thing. So all of those religions, by the way, are based on the story of Moses talking to God on a mountain. Both those other two religions who are saying that they're the right way and I have to kill you over it wouldn't exist without Moses getting the message from God and giving it to the Hebrew people. So you have Muslims trying to kill Jews because they're wrong. Their religion can't exist without the Moses character, who was a Jew. The Christian religion can't exist without the Moses character getting that information and then the prophets after that getting the information because they were Jewish. So two of those religions who are fighting to try and dominate the world and kill people don't exist without the other religion, but all of them are teaching the exact same message. Doesn't matter because there's a semantical name and way that you have to worship. You can't eat meat, you can't cut your hair, you can't get a tattoo, and you can't draw a picture of the God in one religion. You can't get tattoos, you're not supposed to cut your hair, and you can't say the name of the God in another religion. Do you see? Semantics. What's the message? Same frickin' message, but they're children afraid of the dark, and they're not getting on point and teaching the message anymore. What is the message? Thoth the Atlantean is a lie. It was made up in 1929. It's not real. What is the message? It's the exact same message that is being taught in every single spiritual context around the entire planet, spiritual codex around the entire planet throughout all of time in every culture. There is no difference. The only difference is who's telling you the story, where the message came from, when the message came through, and how it's being told to you. But the message is still the same when you translate it into the language that you're speaking at the time.
Let not your body be a fetter. Cast off the darkness and travel in light. Cast off your body, O man, and be free. Truly a light that is one with the light. When ye are free from the fetters of darkness and travel in space as the son of the light, then ye shall know that space is not boundless, but truly bounded by angles and curves. Know ye, O man, that all that exists is only an aspect of greater things yet to come. Matter
bound by angles and curves. Angles are masculine energy, curves are feminine energy. Kundalini, Kunda buffer energies. Light, curve, darkness, sharp, angle. Okay? So here's the same exact message being told to you that is in every other, okay, now we're talking about Hinduism and Buddhism. Same message. We're talking the Celtic knotwork. Same message. Masculine energy, feminine energy, light, darkness, not respectively. Darkness, it depends on how you see it, right? Darkness being masculine, darkness being angles, light being feminine, light being soft, being circles, Fibonacci sequence, Fibonacci spiral, respectively, 3, 6, and 9 being mathematically expressing the exact same dichotomy, the Merkaba, explaining the exact same energies flowing, one flowing inward, 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 one flowing outward, 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 one controlling, overseeing all and turning it back in on itself, the zero, the nothingness, and the 9, the everything, the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end.
Is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. When ye are free from the fetters of darkness, and travel in space as the son of the light, then ye shall know that space is not boundless, but truly bounded by angles and curves. Know ye, O man, that all that exists is only an aspect of greater things yet to come. Matter is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. All through the ages has knowledge.
Okay, so now let's look at that, right? Now you have people saying these things now, starting to realize that in physics. Okay, so if this was made up in 1929, they didn't already know this. It's just now that people are saying this. Terrence Howard is saying this now. Okay. So what exactly are you talking about? Okay. Only an aspect of greater things yet to come. Matter is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. All through the ages has knowledge existed, never been changed, though buried in darkness. So this part right here, matter is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. That was written in 1929. No one had the concept that everything in nature, everything that is in matter, it changes from one form to another yet. That concept wasn't really, I mean, there were some people who were looking at it. But if to write this in 1929, somebody had to have known everything about every religion, everything about all of astrology, astronomy, and physics. So whoever the person was, if they invented Thoth the Atlantean in 1929, that person had to have been smart enough to have written every single religious thing that you have in history. Oh, but he borrowed it from everybody. Okay, so now here again, if that's the case and somebody borrowed this information that was written down as Thoth the Atlantean in 1929, 1928, that means that whoever that person was and the scrolls that were out there in the universe, in the world, had the knowledge that everything in matter doesn't degrade and die. Everything in physics changes constantly from one thing to another. Matter is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. So that means that whoever wrote this, if that's the case, it was just invented in 1929, those people knew something that was written in every single text around the world for all of history. And what they knew in 1929 and in 1910 and in 1872 and in the year 1 and in the year 5000 BCE, they all knew, and quite possibly older than that, they all knew that matter is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. So that means that all cultures in the world that existed had the knowledge of physics that scientists just discovered in the 20th century, in our lifetimes. Already had it. They also knew that you were veiled in darkness and that you were supposed to wake up and remember who you are and pierce the veiling in every culture, in every spiritual context, dating back to the beginning of time. And you're just discovering it now. Some of you don't even know this information and think I'm crazy for telling it to you. The secrets to the universe are in every single philosophical, religious, spiritual text on the face of this earth, waiting for you to discover it.
Existed, never been changed, though buried in darkness, never been lost, though forgotten by man. Know ye that throughout the space that ye dwell in are others as great as your own, interlaced through the heart of your matter, yet separate in space of their own. Once in a time long forgotten, I, Thoth, opened the doorway, penetrated into other spaces, and learned of the secrets concealed. Deep in the essence of matter are many mysteries concealed. 9 are the interlocked dimensions, and 9 are the cycles of space. 9 are the diffusions of consciousness, and 9 are the worlds within worlds. 9 are the lords of the cycles that come from above and below. Space is filled with concealed ones, for space is divided by time. Seek ye the key to the time-space, and ye shall unlock the gate. Know ye that throughout the time-space consciousness surely exists. Though from our knowledge it is hidden, yet still forever exists. The key.
See, so again, know ye that through the time space, consciousness surely exists. Though from our knowledge it is hidden, yet still forever exists. The key to worlds within thee, within you, are found only within you. Okay. So again, let me rewind that just slightly here. I'm probably going to play the same commercial again. So I apologize if that does happen. Okay.
Never been changed, though buried in darkness, never been lost, though forgotten by man. Know ye that throughout the space that ye dwell in are others as great as your own, interlaced through the heart of your matter, yet separate in space of their own. Once in a time long forgotten, I, Thoth, opened the doorway, penetrated into other spaces, and learned of the secrets concealed. Deep in the essence of matter are many mysteries concealed. 9 are the interlocked dimensions, and 9 are the cycles of space. 9 are the diffusions of consciousness, and 9 are the worlds within worlds. 9 are the lords of the cycles that come from above and below.
Okay, so here we have the telling, instead of 7 chakras, we're looking at 9. So we also have 9 worlds in the Viking pantheon, right? We also have, now we have 10 listed worlds and philosophical thoughts, only because, now let me explain that. You have 9 worlds, but then you have Yggdrasil. Okay. So I did a reel on this years ago where I explained that the tree of life, the tree itself is one of the worlds. It's an extension, because that is you. So the tree of life exists according to the Vikings and the Asians and the Hebrews and the Egyptians. That the Greeks called that the ether. Okay, the cosmos. I think the Romans called it the cosmos. Okay. And so the Vikings call it Yggdrasil, the tree of life. So do all these other religions. They call it the tree of life. The tree of life, in Star Wars, it was the force, that energy that binds everything together. The tree of life, the cosmos, the ether bed, the bed of ether that combines everything and holds it together. That would be the 10. Okay, so if you look at the Hebrew, they have 10. The Asians, they have 10, right, on their tree of life. And then if you look at the Vikings, they only have 9. Well, the tree itself is 10. Okay. So here you have Thoth talking about 9. What is Thoth saying? Okay. 9 are the interlocking dimensions, and 9 are the cycles of space. 9 are the diffusion of consciousness, and 9 are the worlds within worlds. 9 are the lords of the cycles that come from above and below. Okay. So come from above and below. Now we're talking about the chakras again. Above and below, as within, so without. So you're looking at the as the spiritual, so in the physical, have to have a representation. So now we're talking about 9. What are the 9 again? So now we're saying, well, wait a minute. What do we have? Only 7 chakras, right? But coming from above and below, if there's 7 chakras and the first chakra that we call number 1, the red root chakra, is number 3, then 9 is actually outside the body. So if there's 9 worlds, there's 9 cycles of space. There's 9 diffusions of consciousness, and 9 are the worlds within the worlds. Wheels within wheels, worlds within worlds, spindle wheel. Those are the descriptions of chakras from different cultures. 9 of the worlds within worlds. Okay. 9 are the lords of the cycle. Okay. Lords of the cycles. What cycles? Circular. Do you understand? So again, now here's expanding your consciousness to the idea of not 7 chakras, but 9, 10 if you count the tree of life. Okay. That's the body itself. The body, the endocrine system in your body is Yggdrasil, no different than the universe. And your endocrine system, your blood pumping, your electrical system in your body is no different than the ether bed, no different than the cosmos, no different than Yggdrasil, the tree of life. It's the same. And the center of your light is your heart chakra. Your heart is the center that pumps. In fact, the heart itself, in many cultures, especially the Greek culture, was actually said, and the Egyptian culture, they actually said that was where the soul resided, not in the head, and it was actually called the brain, not the flesh tissue inside your skull. That got changed over time. That got changed to a different time, to that word that we use now, that your brain is not where your heart is. Your brain, where you think, is in your head. Before it was the heart, because the heart is where your soul resides, not in your head. They knew this in ancient cultures. So that's your 0 point. That's the light within. It's in your heart, because that's the only thing that actually rules both good and evil, love, because evil people love only themselves. Good people love other people. So you're either in service to self or you're in service to others. Do you see? So here you have that being told to you, right? So 9 are the interlocking dimensions, 9 dimensions, 9 densities, plus the 10th, okay, which is the 10th, the body is the 10th, right? 9 are the lords of the cycles that come from above and below. Space is filled with concealed ones, for space is divided by time.
Space is filled with concealed ones, for space is divided by time. Seek ye the key to the time-space, and ye shall unlock the gate. Know ye that throughout the time-space consciousness surely exists. Though from our knowledge it is hidden, yet still forever exists. The key to worlds within thee are found only within, for man is the gateway of mystery, and the key that is one with the one. Seek ye within the circle, use the word I shall give. Open the gateway within thee, and surely thou too shall live. Man, ye think that ye liveth, but know it is life within death. For as sure as ye are bound to your body, for you no life exists. Only the soul is space-free, has life that is really a life. All else is only a bondage, a fetter from which to be free. Think not that man is earth-born, though come from the earth he may be. Man is light-born spirit.
Okay, so here again, you're being told this. This is the Spaceborn was a chapter early on, right? So here again, you're being told this. Think not that man is earth-born, though come from the earth he may be. Man is light-born spirit, but without knowing, he can never be free. Okay, so literally being told here that you have an immortal soul, and that your immortal soul is not from here. Your immortal soul comes from someplace else. Because if you look at far enough back, you were born into a human body, but the soul that resides in there, the spirit, the higher self, is not here. Think not that man is earthborn, Though come from earth he may be, because your physical body. Man is a light-born spirit. But without knowing, he can never be free. So if you don't know, this is what I talk about, and everybody is talking about these days. If you don't know that you are, in fact, I am, gets back to that I am again. If you don't know that you are more than you are, that's the evolution. Okay, you come in, I think, therefore I am. First time you become self-aware in whatever form that you're in as a two-dimensional being, you become self-aware. I think, therefore I am. I count, I am something. There's that word I am again. Then when that life ends, you're on this planet, you become a human. You're born as a human. Now you're self-aware. You're aware of the self. Okay? So then you enter into a body and you become mind wiped. You have the darkness, the veiling. You don't remember that you're anything other than this flesh pain body. Okay? So, but you know that you're self-aware. You don't realize it. You're not actually going, I am self-aware. But the concept is from the Greeks thousands of years ago, I think, therefore I am. So because they're thinking, they're pondering, they're questioning, they're self-aware. So the realization of being self-aware comes from the realization that you are thinking, I am. Okay. So then you're self-aware. So you're here, you're self-aware, then you're trying to figure out what you are, who you are, where you come from, and what's going on. The realization that I am not the physical body. I am not the pain body. I am not the ego. I am not the thinking mind. That I am something that is immortal. I am something that is forever, is the evolution from 3D into 4D. You start 4D thinking outside the box. I am not this physical plane. I am not the third dimensional body in existence. I am something that exists outside of that does not die like my physical body does. Here in this physical place, everything dies. Okay, but in this place, then what happens there, I don't know. But if you look into what I'm saying is that was what you would say. You would say, I don't know. Then you would look. Let's read scriptures. Let's read scrolls from around the world, from all these people in these different cultures. Okay. So then you read words like, think not that man is earthborn, though come from the earth he may be. Man is light-born spirit, but without knowing, without knowledge, he can never be free. Darkness surrounds the light-born. Darkness fetters the soul. Only the one who is seeking may ever hope to be free. Okay? So let's continue here.
But without knowing, he can never be free. Darkness surrounds the light-born. Darkness fetters the soul. Only the one who is seeking may ever hope to be free. Shadows around thee are falling. Darkness fills all the space. Shine forth, O light of the man-soul. Fill thou the darkness of space. Ye are the son of the great light. Remember, and ye shall be free. Stay not thou in the shadows. Spring forth from the darkness of night.
So ye are the son, right? Ye are the son born. Okay, born of the sun. Ye are son of the great light. Remember, and ye shall be free. Okay, so what is the great light? Are we talking about the sun, Sol, here in our solar system? No, now we're talking about the son of the light. What is the light? Well, some say when they were looking up at the stars, these cultures were looking at the Milky Way galaxy, and in the center of the galaxy, some cultures, Native American cultures, were talking about the great spirit that resides in the great valley in the sky. The great valley in the sky, if you look at the Milky Way galaxy from the Earth, it looks like a big valley that you're looking at, and it's illuminated because the light is concentrated there. So a lot of people looked up and they saw the center of the Milky Way galaxy as the center point of light in the universe, in their universe at the time, because they didn't have the concept. They were just understanding or trying to understand the concept of what is this vastness that I see at night? What are those? And originally they were saying that the light you were seeing were pinpricks in the veil of night, right? So that's what they were saying. So they were already on to the veiling and starting to illuminate past that darkness into light. So people think that that was very simple by these people and that they were just the children afraid of the dark. And they were saying that darkness at night was just a veil that was dropped over the earth and that there was little pinholes in it. You could see the light behind that darkness that was still there. And that it was actually just the sun shining, and there was some veil that was cast over the earth like a towel or a cloth thrown over the top of the earth to stop the sunlight from getting in, but there was holes in it. And people believe that that's what they were saying when they said those things. But that's not what they were saying. Again, they were using that vernacular so that people would understand what was happening. It was a parable. It was a story being told to them about the way things were, so that they would start to understand what was being told to them. What was being told to them? That was a veiling, and that there was light behind the darkness. Okay? So you were supposed to be looking through that. Free from the bonds of darkness, a soul that is one with the light. Thou art the key to all wisdom. You are the key to all wisdom. Within you, within thee, is all time and space. Live not in bondage to darkness. Free thou thy light form from night. Your immortal soul, your light form, your light body. Okay? So let's continue here.
Light let thy soul be, O sunborn, filled with glory of light. Freed from the bonds of the darkness, a soul that is one with the light. Thou art the key to all wisdom. Within thee is all time and space. Live not in bondage to darkness. Free thou thy light form from night. Great light that fills all the cosmos, flow thou fully to man. Make of his body a light torch that shall never be quenched among men. Long in the past sought I wisdom, knowledge not known to man. Far to the past I traveled, into the space where time began. Sought I ever new knowledge, to add to the wisdom I knew. Yet only I found did the future hold the key to the wisdom I sought. Down to the holes of Amenti I journeyed, but greater knowledge to seek. Ask of thee, lords of the cycles, the way.
Okay, let me pause it there, right? Okay, so he says, down to the halls of Amenti. You have to remember that Thoth said, the way to heaven is through the center of the earth. That, well, again, was a parable, saying that the center of the earth is the heart chakra, where the heart chakra would be the 0 point. So down to the halls of Amenti didn't mean down to the depths of hell. It didn't mean into the darkness. It didn't mean in a cave that you would go and find the center of the earth. It literally means spiritually the concept of 0 point, and that is at the heart. Okay, so your heart, your 0 point is your heart chakra. Your heart, your physical heart, is your physical representation of your 0 point, your light focused point. Everything has the exact same toroidal field. Every animal, every tree, everything has the exact same toroidal field as the human. The earth has the same toroidal field. That is the circle with the energy of 3, 6, and 9, one spiraling outward for infinity and the other one going inward for infinity. But the 9 energy, the Higgs boson, the God energy, is flipping over those and controlling those and turning them back on themselves so that they stay and don't go recklessly outward into infinity or inward into infinity. They actually become one at a 0 point, and that is at the center. That is the Merkaba, the heart chakra. Okay. So within, when they were saying going into darkness, looking into the underworld and those things back thousands of years ago, it was looking within the darkness, the dark place, looking within. Okay. So here, going down into the halls of Amenti are going within to the halls of Amenti. I journeyed the greater knowledge to seek. Ask of thee, lords of the cycles, the way to wisdom I sought. Ask the lords this question: where is the source of all?
To the wisdom I sought. Ask the lords this question: where is the source of all? Answered in tones that were mighty. The voice of the Lord of the Nine. Free thou thy soul from thy body, and come forth with me to the light. Forth I came from my body, a glittering flame in the night, stood I before the Lord, bathed in the fire of life. Seized was I then by a force, great beyond knowledge of man. Cast was I to the abyss, through spaces unknown to man.
Okay, so here again is the proverbial descent into darkness. Cast I was to the abyss. Through spaces unknown to man, saw I the moldings of order from the chaos and angels of night. Okay, so what you're seeing here is literally the creation once again, the dark night of the soul, the dissension into the proverbial, a disorder. Doesn't mean hell. It doesn't mean a bad place. It's the proverbial disorder and disarray, and then the chaos is then controlled, and then you have the that's where you see from the chaos and angels of night saw I the light spring from order, and heard the voice of the light. Saw I the flame of the abyss. He's talking about, let's say, the Big Bang. Let's talk about that. Let's say that it's the creation out of the primordial ooze, which was chaos. First there was chaos, and then there was light. God said, let there be light. Light illuminated the darkness of night. So do you see? So here what you see is the creation being described to you by another group of people at a different time. So if somebody said that they just created this, then they took the story of the creation from the Hebrews and turned it into this. If this is older, in fact, than the Hebrew story, then people are going to complain, and they're going to say, well, then the Hebrew thing was just stolen from the Egyptians, because people think that that Thoth is an Egyptian somehow, even though he was an Atlantean. That was Atlantis. That was not Egypt. They were not Egyptian people. The people of Atlantis were not the pre-dynastic pharaohs or the post-dynastic pharaohs. They were a society that was separate from that society. That society did not evolve from that society, but the Egyptians have tried to adopt the order of Thoth as their religion. But the Thoth tablets are only found in Arcadia, a Greek Hermes Trismegistus, who now people are trying to say was Egyptian. Okay, so people, now there's an argument that the Egyptians have to claim Hermes so that they can claim Thoth. But Hermes was in fact an Arcadian. He was Greek. This is in history. I'm not making this up. So now you have people today trying to say that Hermes was in fact an Egyptian because Thoth was an Egyptian. Thoth was an Atlantean. Hermes was Greek. This is history. This is not my speculation. This is actual history. So Thoth was did not start the cycle of life in Egypt, but Thoth was talking to the people of that country. And so because people say that when Thoth was saying the children of Chem, that meant Egypt. That meant the upper crust. That meant that they were talking to the Egyptian people. So this book was given to the Egyptians. Well, if what they think about where Atlantis was, it was near there. Some people say it was on the continent. They're desperate. They have to have it somewhere in Morocco, because that means it's in Africa. So if in fact it was in Morocco, where they want it to be on the continent of Africa, then Thoth can be Egyptian, and therefore the Egyptian religion is older. But the truth is that nobody ever depicted Atlantis as being landlocked. Atlantis was in the middle of the ocean. It was an island. Not an island that you sailed into, because that's what they're trying to say in Morocco, on the west coast of Morocco, that there's a place where it looks like that the water may have been an inlet into this area that looks like that it could have been where Atlantis might have been. But that's farther away from the description of the Greeks when they talk about it in the people of Europe, when they talk about going to High Brazil or Atlantis, and even Thoth talking about it. So people are trying to interpret things the way they want it to be interpreted so that they can claim Thoth was talking to them and that Thoth was actually Egyptian, right? And so that even though the Egyptians talked about Thoth and wrote pictures about him, that's because they had the scrolls. That doesn't mean that he was Egyptian. Thoth says the beginning is, I am Thoth the Atlantean, not the Egyptian. Okay. And so what's happening now in the modern day is because the Egyptians drew pictures of Thoth and told the story, because they have hieroglyphs. So the way they write is with pictures. So because of that, they copy a scroll and they write it down in ways that their people can read. And now because of that, people are trying to say, not the official government, by the way, of Egypt, or the historians in Egypt, they're saying Thoth is not Egyptian, but the people who are now trying to carry on Thoth as a religion Africans are trying to say that Thoth is an Egyptian because he was depicted in hieroglyphs. That's just the way they wrote. That's the way they wrote. Okay. So he's also depicted in Greek. He's also depicted in Mesopotamian cuneiform. He's also depicted in Latin, Coptic, English, Pharisee, and every language on the face of the earth right now, including Swahili. Okay. And all of those books are dated. When you ask the Egyptians, where did this book come from? Where did the Enuma Elish come from? Everybody over there says, well, that's the oldest scroll. It was Mesopotamia. That's where it all came down. The Mesopotamian people, the Mesopotamians claim that they got that scroll from the Greeks. You can look this up. I'm not making it up. So when you look at that, they got that scroll from the Greeks. The Greeks say that wasn't ours. We got it from the Egyptians. You go to the Egyptians and their historians say that wasn't ours either. It came from a scroll that was far older than our culture, far older than pre-dynastic Egypt. Pre-dynastic Egypt goes back 130,000 years. Pre-dynastic. Post-dynastic Egypt starts at 15,000 or 20,000 years ago. Pre-dynastic Egypt and the pharaohs of pre-dynastic Egypt go back to 125 to 130,000 years ago. So we're looking at a society that we know died out in 77,000 years ago. And this scroll was part of that society. That's also a part of the time that Atlantis would have existed, past 12,000 years ago. Okay. So not Egyptian, but the Egyptians are now claiming it, and they have to have Atlantis on their continent. That's the only way that Thoth can actually be validated as an Egyptian. Thoth in the tablets say the name of the tablets written in the tablets, emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, not Egyptian. Okay. However, none of that matters. Semantic. The same message here. Great beyond knowledge of man, cast was I to the abyss through space unknown to man. Saw I the moldings of order from the chaos. So he went to the center of the universe, went to the creation, the Big Bang, whatever you want to call it, the creation, and saw the creation of the universe. Chaos and angles of night. Saw I the light spring from order and heard the voice of the light, saying, what? Let there be light. Saw I the flame of the abyss, casting forth order and light.
Saw I the moldings of order from the chaos and angles of night. Saw I the light spring from order and heard the voice of the light. Saw I the flame of the abyss, casting forth order and light. Saw order spring out of chaos, saw light giving forth life. Then heard I the voice, hear thou and understand. The flame is the source of all things, containing all things in potentiality. The order that sent forth light is the word, and from the word come life and the existence of all.
Right, and so here you have the word again. There's the word, right, which is based in the Christianity where Jesus was the Word of God. Therefore, Jesus is God. That's what they're saying with that whole ideology of the Trinity, right? That Jesus is the Word, so therefore the Word is God. But that's a parable. Even Jesus is a parable. Jesus is a physical representation of the spiritual, and Jesus's path and Jesus's sacrifice and resurrection is no different than that which was told right here. Thoth was taken and cast into the primordial ooze to the beginning, cast into hell, the chaos, and then witnessed the birth of the universe. You have the same thing, the same path that Jesus was on, the same path that everyone was on. Marduk had to do the same thing in that pantheon. Thor had to do the same thing. Even Moses did the same thing. So it doesn't matter what religion you look at. They have the exact same thing happening, where they were removed from the light and cast into darkness, the dark night of the soul. Okay, so this is a perfect time. Let me show you. Right, this is the perfect time for me to do a commercial for my book, because I haven't been paying the bills at all, and I've been on the air now for an hour and 35 minutes. So all of this is described to you with everything that's going on in the world with my book, The Reality About Reality: Returning to the Old Ways.
What is the reality about reality? Returning to the Old Ways. It is a comprehensive book about what is really going on here on this planet. It talks about the true spirituality that the controllers who think they own this planet have been keeping from you for thousands of years. It explains to you the knowledge that you gain from the universe itself when you live the way the prophets of the world throughout time told us how to live. Eat right, meditate, take care of yourself, treat others right. All the things they originally told us to do, but the controllers have removed from right in front of our eyes. The way to ascend to heaven. The reality about reality. Returning to the Old Ways. On sale worldwide, online now.
Okay, so here you see this exact thing happening in this scroll. No different than the Viking religion, no different than the Hebrew religion, no different than the Muslim religion, no different than the Christian religion, no different from any religion, Taoism, Buddhism. The same story is being told. The Tao Te Ching, 634 BCE, approximately, somewhere give or take 10 or 15 years back then. Same time that the Buddha was existing in the same country in China. Also preaching the same message, talking about the same thing: the dark night of the soul, the descent into darkness, the realization of the light, and then the ascension back from that light, within as an individual and without as a societal structure. That is the course that all of us need to take to go to the afterlife. And what you need to know about the afterlife is how to balance yourself, how to be in that life. How do I want to get to, if I want to get back to the source, get back to the all, whatever you call that Godhead, whatever you call that all Father, whatever you call that all Mother, whatever you call that energy, that dual aspect, masculine, feminine, androgynous energy, whatever religion that you think you have to say, well, no, wait, God is a person, is a man, wearing a toga, sitting on a mountaintop, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Whatever religion you learned first is going to be the one that you think is the correct one. All of them are correct. All of them are wrong in their semantical ideologies of how to worship, because you're not supposed to worship. You're supposed to learn this information, this knowledge, and wriggle yourself free from the bondage of night. Okay? So this is what you're supposed to be learning. Okay, so this is the descent. Again, the order that sent forth the light is the word, and from the word came life. Let there be light. There's that story again, right? Right. And then the existence of all. And again spoke the voice saying, the life in thee is the word. Not Jesus is the word, not an external body. The life within you is the word. Find thou the life within thee, within you, okay? And have the power to use the word. What is the word? The word is logos, okay? That is a Greek word. It's an ancient Greek word that means the word. What does it mean? It means love. It means light. So the word of God is love, logos, love, balance. The power of the word, the power of love. Long I watched the light flame pouring forth from the essence of fire. Realize that life but order, and that man is one with the fire, that you, me, are one with the light. We are one with the Creator. We are one with the universe. We are all one with each other. Here it is written already. So even if we claim that Thoth the Atlantean was made up in 1929, 1928, the person who made that up was more intelligent than anyone else on the face of the earth at the time, because of the knowledge that that person had. even if that person read every Bible on the earth, then took it all and put it together and said, this is what's going on. That's no different than my book that I just gave you the link for. Okay. It's no different than that. My book describes to you exactly what I just said to you, that all religions are the same. Their message is the same. It's a spiritual way of ascension to heaven, to Elysium, to the halls of Amente, whatever you call that place. Source, back to God, back to heaven, back to Elysium, back to becoming one with the creator or one with the universe. Doesn't matter the vernacular you use. Those are semantics. Semantics in order to divide us and to have us kill each other over the same words. We're killing each other over words, killing each other over a way. You can't eat pork, I have to kill you. You can't cut your hair, I have to kill you. You can't get a tattoo, I have to kill you. You can't masturbate, I have to kill you. Wait, you said God's name, I have to kill you. You used God's name, I have to kill you. You drew a picture of God, really, I have to kill you. You said you wrote down God's name, I have to kill you. Do you see? Those are semantics. Those are finding reasons to kill you, to keep you separated so that you're fighting over what religion recruits you, spirituality waits for you to find it. What religion you are involved in, and my religion must be better than your religion because my religion is my religion, and therefore I have to kill you over your religion. You have to convert to my religion or I have to kill you. That is what every war has been fought over when it comes to religion on the face of the earth throughout time. No one has ever been fighting over the message. They've always been fighting over the messenger and the way in which you worship the deity figure. Not in the way in which you ascend back to that figure, but the way in which you worship that person. Worship is a third dimensional construct of a caste system, which puts somebody above you in control and in charge, and it's not you. That is maritime law, and that's what you're living under. That's not what was being taught to you by any of the ascended masters. None of that was ever spoken about in any spiritual practice. None of it. Okay? You are the light. You are an immortal soul.
And again spoke the voice, saying, the life in thee is the word. Find thou the life within thee, and have powers to use of the word. Long I watched the light flame, pouring forth from the essence of fire, realizing that life but order, and that man is one with the fire. Back I came to my body, stood again with the nine, listened to the voice of the cycles, vibrate with the powers they spoke. Know ye, O Thoth, that life is but the word of the fire. The life forth ye seek before thee is but the word in the world as a fire. Seek ye the path to the word, and powers shall surely be thine. Then asked I of the nine, O Lord, show me the path, give the path to the wisdom, show me the way to the word. Answered me then the Lord of the nine, through order ye shall find the way. Saw ye that the word came from chaos? Saw ye not that light came from fire? Look in thy life for this order, balance and order thy life. Quell all the chaos of the emotions, and thou shalt have order in life. Order brought forth from chaos.
Okay, so again, balancing your chakras, balancing yourself, order from chaos. That is illumination away from darkness, illumination away from evil. Evil is chaos. Self-serving is chaos. That is the chaos of control, power, money, fame, control, chaos. So order is life. Life, order brought forth from chaos will bring thee the word of the source, meaning the knowledge, meaning the download of the knowledge that you will gain is going to come from love, not love of self, but love of others. Okay, so here you see this. Order brought forth from chaos will bring thee the word of the source. Will thee the power of cycles, cycles again being your chakras, cycles again being the balance of your chakras. So will thee the power of cycles balance your chakras and stay on point and stay in service to others and make of thy soul a force that free will extend through the ages, and perfect sun from the source, light from the source. Okay, let's continue.
Will bring thee the word of the source. Will thee the power of cycles, and make of thy soul a force that free will extend through the ages, a perfect sun from the source. Listened I to the voice, and deep thanked the words in my heart. Forever have I sought for order, that I might draw on the word. Know ye that he who attains it must ever in order be for use of the word, though this order has never and can never be. Take ye these words, O man, as part of thy life. Let them be. Seek thee to conquer this order, and one with the word thou shalt be. Put forth thy effort in gaining light on the pathway of life. Seek to be one with the sun state. Seek to be solely the light. Hold thou thy thought on the oneness of light within the body of man. Know that all is order from chaos, born into light.
Okay. All right. So we're going to call it for the week. We'll end it there. Let me come back over here into the studio and put myself up here. I love you guys. We'll pick it up there on number 10 next week. All right. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. This is Orion Rising. I am your host, Leonard O'Neill. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morrow, depending on where in the world you are tuning into the show. And no, this is not a Illuminati symbol that I keep putting up. This is American Sign Language. And most people understand this around the world. It means I love you. Everybody says that this is always this symbol, and that's the symbol that is not this symbol. This is not everything. They take everything that is evil, takes everything, and they, no matter what it is that you have as a symbol, and they try to make it their own, so that no matter what you do, you get paranoid and you can't do anything because it's evil. So that means I love you in sign language. It does not mean that I'm the Illuminati or that I am the deep state or the Anunnaki. All right, guys, I love you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. I will see you later.